Let's move now from Germiston to Bloemfontein because the High Court in that area is set to deliver its ruling today on the legality of Moroadi Cholota's extradition to South Africa. Cholota challenged the manner in which she was brought back to the country, citing alleged abuse and violation of her rights at the hands of South African officials. Now, last month, the Constitutional Court confirmed that her extradition was unlawful, but still referred the case back to the High Court to rule on 4 other arguments made by Cholota. Ziniko Mhlaba has been following developments on this case and joins us now live from Bloemfontein. Ziniko, the question mark, I suppose, is what does this ruling today said to have a bearing on when it comes to the rest of this case? What are we expecting to hear this morning? Good morning.
A very good morning to you, Arabile. Well, the bearing is definitely going to be there whether Judge Lobster J is going to rule in favor of Cholota or in favor of the prosecuting team, in this case, the National Prosecuting Authority. These are the individuals who were found to have wrongfully extradited Ms. Moroadi Cholota back to South Africa by the Constitutional Court on the 23rd of January 2026. However, the very same court then said, it was given an opportunity or a responsibility to rule on the issue of whether, an NPA, the National Prosecuting Authority, had the powers to really extradite Cholota back to South Africa or not. So that's what the Constitutional Court dealt with in January. However, Cholota's legal team had tabled various other pleas to be ruled on by the High Court here in Bloemfontein. However, those 4 arguments were not validated at the Constitutional Court. Therefore, the Constitutional Court did not make a ruling on those 4 things. Rather, the Constitutional Court made that ruling on whether the NPA had the powers or not, then referred to those 4 items back to this particular judge who had not really looked at those issues accordingly or to the satisfaction of Cholota's legal team. So the matter was brought back just last month to this very same court, where an open court had those complaints fully that were tabled by Cholota, and obviously the NPA also argued against those arguments, those allegations, saying that, well, everything that was done according to the law in terms of the processes, especially when it comes to the conduct of those officials who had traveled to the US to bring back Cholota to South Africa. So we're expecting then the judge to rule on those 4 items, and depending on what the judge is going to rule in favor of, then we'll get a sense of whether then the main trial, which involves the 18 other accused, is going to go ahead as scheduled, which the scheduled period is the first week of March, or whether then one of these 2 legal teams is going to be aggrieved by today's judgment and then decide to challenge it to an appeal, to take it to the appeals court, and that can lead to another prolonged appeals up until we get to the Constitutional Court. But for now, Arabile, it is Judge Lobster J who is going to have the responsibility of deciding on whether this trial is going to take place on the 1st of March or not. However, we've seen in the previous court appearances other co-accused in the main case, such as Ace Magashule, the former DG of the department, and other officials and businessmen such as Mr. Sori himself. They have been coming to this particular court just to monitor and observe whether there's any progress that is going to take them closer to their first day of the trial in the main case. But also, there have been complaints in terms of the impact of these delays on the finances of the other accused, especially accused number 1, who had announced in court through his former legal team that he has run out of funds. Therefore, he's worried that if there are these continued delays, he might end up now not having a fair trial because he will not have a sufficient legal representation. So in the next hour, Arabile, we'll delve deeper into the arguments and the complaints and the allegations that were made by Ms. Cholota and how the state responded to those allegations. But that is all going to be happening in the next hour, and the judgment is expected just after 9 o'clock.
Ziniko Mhlaba, thank you so much for giving us that case. Again, another one to follow through on just after the end of the show around 9 a.m. this morning.